Hello again, and here we are at the 8th Co-Creative Thought Transformation in the Heart Journey series. These co-creative thought transformations are part of a spiritual practice meant to increase your ability to attract and manifest while opening your mind to insight and your heart to lovingness. They also foster spiritual growth. These videos are based on my book, Heart Journey. You can find a free introductory video to Heart Journey, a how-to manual for co-creative manifestation, on my Mary Juno YouTube channel, or a link to the video can be found on my maryjuno.com homepage. If you have not seen the introductory video, I suggest you view that video first. The 8th thought pattern needing transformation is possessiveness and control. Possessiveness towards others implies the delusion of ownership and the right to dominate. You cannot and should not own, and you do not and should not have the right to dominate. Controlling others, even for their own good, implies that you know best. Not necessarily. The tragedies innate to possessiveness and control are numerous and far-reaching, both for you and the object of your attention. Attempts to possess another are misguided and doomed to failure. Possessiveness kills the very beauty you seek to own and the relationship you covet. The saying goes, a caged bird will not sing. A butterfly trapped between your thumb and finger will rip and shred its wings in the quest for freedom. The love you crave is the antithesis of ownership, and the two are mutually exclusive. You are deluded if you believe you can make it work. You are living a lie if you think it is actually working. Possessiveness is as detrimental to you as it is to the object of your affection. The more conditional your love, the less open your heart. You begin to close up and wall yourself in. Your attempts to do the impossible, and it is impossible to truly love yet seek to possess, seriously impact your ability to attract and receive abundance. While your heart is closing, you are spiritually regressing, whether you sense it or not, and your attractive and receptive ability is waning. You risk a continuing downward spiral wherein communications with your co-creative partner become more difficult, distorted, and sporadic as your vibrational frequency declines and emotional distractions increase. You lose perspective and clarity. Without steady guidance, life becomes harder and more of a struggle. The ability to manifest declines or stops. When you feel the need to be possessive of your loved one, your relationship is already in trouble and in danger of dying. It is better to face the issues head-on with love. In reality, it is your only hope. You cannot make someone love you. You can only open your heart to a higher level of love, understanding, and compassion. If your relationship is in trouble, you have two very different choices, each requiring its own strength. If you still love this person and the relationship the two of you have built together, keep your heart wide open and choose to stay through thick and thin. Do not fall into the trap of least common denominator love, wherein you only love another as much as you feel loved. It has already been established that your partner's love is waning. Lowballing your love to match another will only make matters worse. It is better to love open-heartedly if you wish to turn things around. You may be unevenly yoked for a while, but then one of two things will happen. Either your partner will be uplifted, eventually following your lead and becoming more loving also, or he or she will slip further and further behind, eventually falling away completely, emotionally and/or physically. Sometimes you can outlove and outlast difficulties, and sometimes you can't. But at least you will know that you gave it your all. A relationship that does not and cannot heal ultimately dies regardless of what you do or how loving you are. It will go to the grave faster if you are possessive. If you feel that you have exhausted all options, and the situation is both very difficult and having a negative impact on both of you, perhaps the more loving and compassionate thing to do would be to let this person go. It is either time for a temporary break or time to move on completely. To continue in a sham relationship with limited options is not in anyone's best interest. It is a trap, and you would be living a lie. It is far better to survive the change and love again than to let your heart become hardened by dysfunctional and dishonest daily interaction. Attempts to manipulate and/or control another deny his or her free will, cloud his or her path, and thwart his or her co-creative interaction with God, regardless of whether or not the individual appears conscious of the interaction. There is beauty in everyone waiting to bloom. It has been programmed from the beginning by the divine. We all carry a spiritual gift to be manifested in our lifetime, a unique dance that can emerge when the conditions are right and efforts supported, even if only by one person or only for a moment. The chances that this potential will be realized increase when you honor the best that each person has to offer. Honoring calls forth this spark and fans the flame of divine inheritance. No matter the starting point, honoring is a beneficial option, especially when you are hoping for improvement. Even the most hardened criminal can grow or gain insight when there is support. This does not mean that he or she should be released from prison or will be completely rehabilitated, but any progress is a step in the right direction. The alternative is that the spark never ignites or dies out completely, and all potential is lost. It is to everyone's benefit to honor or support the best in another. The tragedy for you is that attempts to control others narrow your focus and limit your options. There is a direct negative effect on you because you must stay vigilant that the target of your attention is behaving in a specific manner according to your needs, wishes, or expectations. When others don't toe the line to make things happen according to your expectations, you have to be ready to step in and take up the slack. When you end up doing the dirty work for others, you enable their dysfunction and lack of responsibility, or become codependent yourself. Meanwhile, you are distracted from your own life path. You lose awareness of better options, your co-creative potential, and co-creative partner, who will never participate in a possessive or controlling venture. Possessiveness and control bind you to finite small expectations and blind you to infinite possibilities and unlimited abundance. You grasp at one particular option or outcome, when in reality many options exist, all of which may be more beneficial than the one you are currently struggling to maintain. You suffer from a poverty mentality, believing that there is only one person, one situation, or thing that can make you happy. While you fight to maintain control, the ego and small self-will become stronger than thy will. You will no longer trust your co-creative partner to provide and will try to make things happen on your own. Your behaviors and thoughts will manifest through the channels of conditional love and conditional hate, fostered and sustained by fear. It is an all-around losing position for everyone involved, the possessive and the possessed, the controlling and the controlled. Realistically, you have no power to control another adult. It is an impossible task that always ends in failure. You may for a time control the body, but you won't control the mind. And if you learn to control the mind, you won't control the heart. You might think that you control the heart, but you will never break the spirit, which belongs to God. All control is temporary and unsustainable. The greatest power you have lies within you for the purpose of your own personal growth and fulfillment. The weakest, least effective use of personal power occurs when you attempt to control another. The strain and drain is so great, eventually you become disempowered. Instead, picture yourself placing the out-of-control person in the arms and care of your co-creative partner. As the saying goes, let go and let God, or God works in strange and wondrous ways. Even when God cannot work through someone's best characteristics, God will work through other qualities and avenues, including craziness. All beings are on a spiritual journey. Some travel faster, some travel slower. Some take a detour or less traveled path. Everyone has the right to come and go, learn or not learn, succeed or fall flat. This is a hard lesson to learn when it is your loved one who is tripping or lost along the way. You can offer guidance and speak your mind. Providing information, making suggestions, or giving assistance can be helpful and welcome behaviors. These actions seek to empower and enhance, not overpower and control. Intervention when someone is totally lost their way with drugs, alcohol, or other addictions is appropriate when it provides accurate feedback and support, but not force. Even in these situations, control will not work. The individual has to want to be healed. If he or she is not willing, it's not time. Until then, as painful as it is to watch, there is little you can do. Regardless of the situation, an attempt to overpower or control, even in another's best interest, is generally useless and detrimental to your own spiritual development. Sometimes allowing someone to fall or fail is the only thing that will open the door to recovery. When it comes to children and parenting, control should not be confused with guidance and the need for structure. You do not own your children and should not shape them according to some preconceived image. They have their own little divine sparks to fan and gifts to manifest. But they do need your supervision to grow into responsible and productive adults. Guide your children by allowing them to develop naturally in an enriched and loving environment that fosters positive character traits. Support their strengths. Seek to fortify the divine spark in them by honoring the best they have to offer. When it comes to relationships, possessiveness should not be confused with commitment. A stable marriage or fulfilling relationship actually broadens your horizons rather than narrows them. In situations where partners are mutually dedicated to each other's growth, strength reigns and honoring is a way of life. It is a sign of true love, and there is no need for control. When it comes to elderly parents who are no longer able to make good decisions or care for themselves, control should not be confused with caregiving. With the growing cases of dementia and Alzheimer's disease, we must care for our parents as we would care for our children and keep them safe. Responsibilities for an elder may be part of your spiritual journey. After you learn spiritual concepts, you may be called to practice and demonstrate what you have learned through service to others and acts of kindness. When you endeavor to honor, surprising things happen. I was snorkeling in Hawaii when I saw a sea turtle near a rock just ahead. I surfaced to clear my mask for a good look, but then the sea turtle was gone. Rather than pursue him, I chose to loudly hum Amazing Grace underwater. To my surprise, 2 sea turtles came out from behind the rock and began to dance together back and forth in front of me for several minutes. Honoring reveals the divine essence in everyone and everything in a way that could not be anticipated. The first day that I moved into my new house, there were bluebirds in the backyard. These were the first bluebirds I had seen since I was 10 years old on a field trip. I was thrilled and immediately put up a bluebird box, hoping they would nest, and they did the following year. Unfortunately, spring came early and was followed by a period of bitter cold. All 5 babies died during the cold snap. I had no idea what had gone wrong. There was a local bluebird rehabilitation group, and when I contacted them for information, I was put in touch with Mr. Bluebird, who monitored many of the county's bird boxes and rehabilitated sick or injured birds. I was told that my case was not unusual, as bluebird nests all over the countryside yielded frozen babies that spring. I started helping out, monitoring bluebird boxes in my neighborhood and assisting Mr. Bluebird with his rounds. I learned a lot about caring for these birds and their rehabilitation needs. Bluebirds are very gentle birds, but they will protect their young at the cost of their own lives. They will not leave the nest when attacked. Their major predator is the house sparrow, which is not native, but an accidental import from Europe. House sparrows compete with bluebirds for nesting boxes. They will jump into the bluebird box and carry off the youngest babies, or peck the mother and fledglings to death by pounding on their heads. The mother will usually die on her young, as she refuses to leave. The house sparrow will then proceed to kill the babies. It was common to find severely injured bluebirds while making rounds. Mr. Bluebird did his best to rehabilitate those birds. One day, 2 3-day-old bluebirds, close to death, were brought to my home. They were not expected to live, their heads were so badly pecked. One bird was paralyzed on the left side of his body. Mr. Bluebird was going out of town for the weekend, and there was no one else to take the birds. He asked me to fill in. I cared for them as I had been taught, but I also did Reiki on them, an energetic healing technique. One bird recovered quickly, and I called him Godzilla. I had to put him in a separate box to keep him from stomping all over his sibling. After 2 days, Mr. Bluebird was back in town, and Godzilla was taken out to a nest with similar aged baby bluebirds for adoption by the parents. The second bluebird was recovering slowly. He was no longer paralyzed, but did not seem to have the same will to live. Though I noticed this, I kept healing and feeding. I wanted him to live. I wanted to pull off a miracle. On the 3rd day of care and after feeding, the baby bird gave a huge sigh, and in that sigh I saw my folly. I was willing this bird to live, and he wanted to die. So I gently said, "You don't have to do this, you know. Just stop your breath." With that, the bird gave a second breath in and a much longer exhale. As it exhaled, his head rolled to the side, his wings dropped down and open, his legs went limp. His third and last breath was shallow. I realized that I was witnessing death. The Tibetans say 3 breaths and you're out, meaning out of body and passed over. But I could see the bird's heart was still beating inside its tiny chest. So I said, "Now stop your heart." With that, the baby bird opened his eye for the first time and only time in his short life. Baby bluebirds' eyes are sealed shut at birth, and they do not open until they are older than my young friend. The open eyes stared straight into my heart and soul, as we were instantly one. I can never put into words the connection he and I made at that moment, but I am forever changed by the experience of letting him go. Once I stopped controlling and began to honor his dance. I saw his life as he wanted it to be. I witnessed his intelligence, wisdom, and total lack of fear. I glimpsed the reflection of God in him. I was touched by this tiny being. With that, his eye closed, and his heartbeats followed the same pattern as his former breaths. 3 beats, and he was gone. He died in my hand within seconds of my release, and left me with an understanding I will treasure all my life. As you can see from these 2 events, communications and teachings can come from your co-creative partner through mundane events. I was inspired by my co-creative partner to hum Amazing Grace. The impulse came quickly and easily because of the time I spent in meditation and reflection. Keeping my heart open enabled me to recognize the struggle of the young bluebird. I was bigger, stronger, and I had an agenda that I presumed was in the bird's best interest. I was wrong, and I was glad for the spiritual lesson. You do not have to have a vision or hear a voice for a spiritual experience. You only need to keep your heart and mind open to whatever your co-creative partner sends your way. In a previous video, I commented on the 2 lobes of the upper heart and how they mirror each other and yet are connected. They appear as a duality, but each lobe is a reflection of the other, and there is only one heart. I suggested that you should look for coincidence and synchronicity in your life, as experiences are tailor-made teachings arranged for you by your co-creative partner. Mundane experiences foster spiritual growth. Everyday events give you feedback on the manifestation process. Insight and wisdom can be garnered from the most unexpected exchanges. This is non-duality in action. You and your environment, experiences, and relationships are one. Everything is related, but judgment will keep you thinking everything is separate. I realized my oneness with the sea turtles when I sang to them. I became one with the bluebird when I accepted and honored his choice. Together they changed my understanding. What looks like duality, 2 lobes of the heart, is actually non-duality when we move higher in the heart. There is truly only one of us here. Honor the best in others, and you will see the best in yourself. By now you know the routine. Work with this co-creative thought transformation for 1 month, keeping it foremost in your mind. At the end of the month, move on to the 9th co-creative thought transformation. You are not expected to master any of these transformations in 1 month. Awareness in and of itself is considered progress, a step in the right direction. Next month's 9th thought pattern needing transformation is the Ego Armada, which will also be in video format. Look for it on my YouTube channel or Mary Juno website. To receive notices of each new video, subscribe to my YouTube channel or newsletter. For more information about Heart Journey and co-creative manifestation, go to my Mary Juno website. There you will find a study guide, sample chapter, and videos. Heart Journey the book is available in paper and digital format, and obviously the greatest amount of information and spiritual depth is only found in the book. The book has an in-depth troubleshooting section on the process of manifestation that you might find particularly helpful. The book can be purchased online or through a bookstore. The digital format will work with your iPad, tablet, computer, or phone. Free apps are available. I wish you all the best with the 8th Co-Creative Thought Transformation. I look forward to sharing with you next month with a new video, and I do hope you have an abundant and insightful month.